Wave 3 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass dropped last week, and it brought a ton with it. 8 more courses have been added, and in addition, some changes were made to the game as a whole. So now that we've had some time to play around with the update, what do we think about it? Could these be some of the best DLC courses yet? And maybe even the best update to the game in general? Let's go through it all in order. Starting with the tracks. First up is Tour London Loop. Now I gotta be honest, this is the first time I found London Loop to be interesting. All of its versions in Mario Kart Tour I found pretty middling. It's a pretty basic course, the chain chomp is nice, but there just isn't a lot going on with it. But here in Mario Kart 8, I actually like it. The chain chomp's breaking free for the final lap is clever. It adds more obstacles to the track, and is also just pretty funny to see the chain chomp going through the river. Combining the different versions of London Loop also make it feel like a decently long track too. But despite this, it's still a bit confusing in some areas. So overall, I'd say I liked Tour London Loop. Moving on to GBA Boo Lake. This is pretty identical to the update that this track got in Mario Kart Tour, which was already great. It's a short yet fun track, but now a good amount of it is actually in anti-gravity, especially for the underwater segment. And that works pretty nicely too. It keeps that entire section feeling hectic, since it's a pretty short course, it's bound to be crowded, constantly bouncing around between different racers, there could be a lot going on. And we don't really have many spooky tracks, so getting more of them is more than welcome. So while it is a simple track, comparing it to some previous DLC tracks, like 3DS Toad Circuit or SNES Mario Circuit 3, I like this one a lot more. So I'm gonna have to say I liked GBA Boo Lake a lot. Next up is 3DS Rock Mountain. Overall, the updates made to this track are pretty minimal. The anti-grav to the final section is neat, but it doesn't actually add that much here. I just wish there was more to do in addition to the 2 long gliding sections. Maybe incorporating some of the changes from the tour variants would have made it more exciting. Because my hot take is 3DS Rock Mountain is pretty boring, and has always been pretty boring. The changes that they made to it for this game didn't really add much to it, and therefore, it's not any more unexciting to me as it's always been. So, Rock Mountain, for me, is pretty meh, and is my personal weakest pick out of the DLC. But in contrast to that is Wii Maple Treeway, because this beloved course is back and is just as good as it always is. Though, I do wish that the leaf piles dropped more hazardous items, not just mushrooms. The risk versus reward of potentially getting a banana was just more exciting. And the half-pipe section that skipped out on the Mario Kart 7 version is great to have back, and including item boxes in the half-pipe is great incentive to actually use it, rather than cutting the corner as quick as you can to just get ahead. Also, the new music is really great. The instrumentation on Maple Treeway this time around is fantastic. Gotta say, I loved Maple Treeway here. And shifting gears into the Moon Cup, we're up to Tour Berlin Byways, which is one of my favorite Tour City tracks in general. I love the way the 3 versions were combined into one here, especially that cross section just before the final lap. That can get pretty dangerous between the oncoming cars and going against the traffic of the other racers. The music is incredibly upbeat and exciting. The moving cars throughout the track are fantastic obstacles that are always there in the way, and are much better than simply the stationary cars that the original Berlin Byways had through most of its versions. So overall, Berlin Byways gets a liked a lot from me. Moving on to DS Peach Gardens, where I give my potentially controversial opinion that it was always just an okay course in previous titles. But the big change made here in the final lap is huge. I think it really shakes up the gameplay. Going against the other racers in an oncoming section is exhilarating. The gliding section is a great addition that just changes the pace of the final lap, and in general, adding an entire new section just to make sure you can go backwards through the track, that's just really cool. It's the same kind of fun idea they introduced in Calamari Desert back in Wave 2, I love that they're taking old courses and looking at new ways to revamp them, and keep the essence of the course there while introducing new ideas to it. So while in previous titles I found Peach Gardens to just be okay, this time around I like it a lot. It took until Mario Kart 8, but I'm finally sold on Peach Gardens being a good course. Next up is Tour Merry Mountain, which design-wise is a more basic Tour original course, though thematically it is perfect for the holiday season. The anti-gravity added to the last stretch at the top of the mountain is a good change that adds more to the gameplay, but there still isn't really a lot going on here. Of the Tour original courses, not counting the cities, being Ninja Hideaway, Sky High Sundae, and Merry Mountain, it is the most basic of them. It would have been nice if there was more going on, or if this version of it incorporated some of the other Tour variants, but it's not a bad track, it just doesn't have a lot going on. But I liked it. And finally, 3DS Rainbow Road. My favorite Rainbow Road ever is finally here, with beautiful visuals that, nicely enough, are visually distinct from every other Rainbow Road in the game, and has incredible music. Seriously, Mario Kart 8's music never misses. I do wish that some of the original shortcuts and features were still here with the course, but since the gameplay mechanics, especially with gliding, are different between Mario Kart 8 and 7, it probably just wouldn't have worked here. So I understand those hidden item boxes under Saturn's rings being missing, but it was a nice secret to find originally, so I'm a little disappointed that they're not here this time. Small things like that aside though, this is still an incredibly solid Rainbow Road. The 3 segments work great, the obstacles of the chain chomps on the moon are fantastic, the anti-grav added to the moon is great, and it has the chaos of a Rainbow Road that everyone knows and loves. So, naturally, I loved it. The Wave 3 update brought more than just new courses though, as it actually added some other features, such as the custom item settings, which are a fantastic addition, allowing for a larger variety of gameplay options. So now we can have even wackier tournaments. But before anyone asks, no, we're not doing a Blue Shell only edition of our Mario Kart Mondays. That's a bit too chaotic. But really, I never expected them to make a change like this. And it makes me hopeful that we could see more like it added in the future. Maybe even picking which courses appear in tournaments. But getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The custom items is a fantastic feature. But it wasn't the only one. We also saw some balancing changes, such as with lightning, where now the lightning will not drop you if you're struck when gliding, which is a good change, even if people are going to complain about it. With the custom item setting allowing too many lightning strikes to potentially happen in a single race, this is a necessary quality of life improvement that I personally feels better balances the game. It was annoying getting hit with the lightning while everyone was gliding, and everyone getting dropped at the same exact point by Lakitu, and keeping the entire crowd of racers together for a while. That was just always really annoying to deal with. Now we don't. Another change made to balancing is invincibility frames. So basically, after getting hit by an item, depending on the character and vehicle customization now, your period of invincibility will change. I'm really surprised to see this change, and I'm really curious how it'll affect the online competitive meta, because it feels like this was very intentionally targeting the Waluigi on the Wild Wiggler meta. So really, how will this affect high-level play? Between these balance changes made to the game, a whole new addition of custom item settings, and a wonderful selection of 8 new courses that even include some fan favorites, I liked Wave 3 a lot, and it's my favorite wave of DLC of the game so far. We're halfway through the Booster Course Pass now, so here's hoping that Wave 3 is a great sign for what's still to come in the second half. But what do you guys think? Do you like these courses, or the balancing changes? How would you compare Wave 3 to the previous 2? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and stay tuned to GameXplain for plenty more on Mario Kart, and other things gaming as well. Until next time, farewell.